Whew, okay, fuck me, okay. Welcome back to Jessica Jones Reviews. We're taking a look at episode 8, aka WWJD, which I'm assuming stands for What Would Jessica Do? There's a lot to unpack here, so, I'm just gonna skip the plot synopsis for this one and talk about the plot points as necessary. This is a phenomenal episode. Holy shit. I'm not even sure where to begin. Like, there are just so many great, complex ideas that go into this. More or less, the entire episode is just Jessica Jones and Kilgrave in her childhood home, and basically everything that comes with that, and it's fantastic. It's probably the best episode of the season so far. I mean, right off the bat, it just shows just how good characters these people are and how well they balance each other out, and just what an evil son of a bitch he is, and just in the most fascinating way. And not in a way it's like, I'm evil for the sake of evil. It's like, he's evil in the fact that he genuinely believes that he's in the right. Genuinely believes it. Even less so than, more so than, the Kingpin. He did horrible things, but his stuff was justified. He doesn't, Kilgrave doesn't even think he's doing anything wrong. Even when the people, say people he's murdered, he's just like, well, I didn't kill them, they killed themselves, He doesn't take any responsibility for any of the stuff he's done. And it dives more into the abusive relationship angle, because it's like, and again, a reason I keep bringing this up every episode, I know I talk about the abusive relationship angle, and I think a big part of that reason is just because this is something I have personal experience in. Not necessarily I've ever been in an abusive relationship, although with my last ex, kind of have it iffy. But I know a lot of people that have had abusive boyfriends in the people who have had abusive relationships in the past, and through my experiences with them and what they've told me, I can kind of pick and choose. I'm not even trying to understand it in full, though. But I digress. I'm talking fast. I'm going to try to slow down a little bit. I realized in the last episode I was kind of talking really fast, so I'm going to try to slow it down. Anyway, this is a great episode, mostly in just how it develops the dynamic between Kilgrave and Jessica Jones. That is the core of the story. That is the core of this episode. It also dives more into the background of Jessica Jones and Kilgrave in a way that doesn't feel as forced as the previous episodes have. It doesn't feel clunky. It feels organic to the storyline. And it feels like... and they do add depth to Kilgrave. They do add more depth to Jessica Jones. They reveal just a little more information about Jessica Jones, namely that she had a brother who died when she because of an accident. And Kilgrave was just the result of scientific experiment by her own parents. Which makes him a bit more sympathetic, but at the same time, he's still such a bastard. He's so fucking good at it. He's such a great bastard. God damn it, David Tennant. But what I love about this dynamic is the fact that this is textbook abusive relationship behavior. And this is practically textbook. In the fact that as soon as Kilgrave welcomes her into the home, he's trying to be more charming. He says she has a choice. But really, he's not giving her a choice. He's just he's not using her powers against her. But realistically, she still doesn't have a choice. She still has to do everything he wants her to do. And whenever she doesn't, he still resists, although he pretends not to. And that's just a great way of how he's subtly manipulating her into doing his bidding, even if it's not overtly. And at the same time, he's trying to be more charming. He's trying to be more likable. He's acting sincere about his apology and how he wants to change, how he wants to be better. He's trying to convince her that he is going to change, and that's why she should stay. And while Jessica Jones resisted heavily at first, as well she should, she very slowly kind of starts to warm up to it a little bit, to the point towards the end of the episode where she kind of has a existential crisis, in that she realizes, okay, he can actually use his powers for good, and they test that theory out like an actual crisis situation. But in order for him to do that, he has no empathy on his own, so he would need her help all the time in order for him to use his powers for good. And it's saying, should she do that? Can she change him? And I was really worried they were going to go the route of, yes, she can, and she's going to try to tough it out. because, and it's going to get a little personal for me as well, because like that's the one thing, my biggest, this is why I tell every single person I've ever talked to about this, who has either been in a relationship or gotten out of it, or is trying to convince themselves to stay in this kind of relationship, because they think they can fix the person they are with. They cannot. It's a lie. They are assholes, and they're never going to change. I know that sounds cynical, and I don't like cynical statements. I want to believe that can happen. The problem is, here's the reality of it. It's like people like this don't change because they don't want to change. They want their way. And like even in this episode, it's demonstrated with just by Kilgrave just acting impatient because he's so used to getting what he wants, so he has to work for something he wants. He's challenged by it, but at the same time, he's also very frustrated by it. And it's a fascinating dynamic. David Tennant does it so goddamn well. But it's also clear he's completely narcissistic. He doesn't care about anything else except what he wants. And even then, he doesn't really want Jessica Jones. He wants the perceived fantasy of her that he's built up in his head. And I was so relieved. It's just going to show how invested I am in these characters at this point. But I was so relieved when they didn't go that route. When they actually went a more realistic route, and that Jessica Jones just isn't buying his shit, and actually does backstab him in the very end. Overall, really fantastic stuff here. I mean, it's just a phenomenally good episode. The dynamic is amazing. A couple other cliff notes. They got the Hogarth storyline still going on. I don't. That felt like a cliff note in this episode. Like I felt like I know they're going somewhere with that, but we're not there yet. And it's like, okay, have a point. We're at the point in the show where this has to be going somewhere. Based on the synopsis for the next episode, it sounds like it is. But for now, it's like, can we move this along? Because this is getting kind of tiresome. But anywho, I mean, there's really not a whole lot else to say except I love this episode. I think it's phenomenal. I think it does exactly what it aims to do in presenting kind of both sides of the argument at the same time. It's more just watching these two characters interact, and they have such great interactions because they are so different, yet they have this weird, off-putting chemistry to them, and it's both fun, entertaining to watch, and also just deeply disturbing and unsettling, and makes you feel uncomfortable. Like, you know that Kilgrave's an unstable person, but he's playing nice, and you don't know how long that's going to last, if it's going to last. Because the minute she's gone, boom, he's right back to the normal narcissistic asshole self. But when she's in the room, he plays the good guy because he's trying to win her over. And I wish people in these kind of relationships would see that more often, but it's so sad that they don't. So I guess this one kind of hits me on a personal level as well, because like I wish, if anything, like this kind of shows like a lesson in the fact that people like this don't change. They just don't, because they have no reason to change. They don't want to change, because like for people to change, they have to acknowledge that something is wrong with them and that it needs to change. They need to recognize the need for change, but most people don't. Especially people who are in the abusive individuals, because they just don't see it that way. They just don't. They don't see it's wrong. They see it's everyone else's fault. It's everyone else's responsibility. They don't see it on them, because you know what? If they saw it was about them, they wouldn't be abusive. 9 times out of 10, that's the case. Now, I can't speak for all necessarily, but I've done enough research, and God knows I've looked at enough studies and enough interviews and people in personal experience and all that stuff. It's like, people like that will blame everyone else for their problems. They will blame everyone else. They see no responsibility at all, and they will emotionally manipulate anyone they want to get their way, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. They don't even need to know they're doing it. And I'm even sure Kilgrave in this case knows he's doing it, but that's what he's doing, and it's fucking sleazy, and it makes him just the most disgusting moral villain I think they've ever done so far. And it's really phenomenal. They've got they managed to take that risk, and 2, do it so goddamn well, and 3, do it so goddamn accurately that it makes it fucking scary. It's, like I said, I have never seen a superhero project of any kind take the risk this show has, or even just take the character dynamic in the way that it has. And that's what makes show such a treat. And it makes me sad that I'm just now finally catching up on all this, but yeah, I think that's all I really got to say about this one, so I'm excited. I'm just going to go ahead and watch the next episode, probably do one more tonight before I crash, so stay tuned!